a national political reporter
you can characterize it how you want.
Was made privy
the White
to
House
sensitive information about imminent military operations against a foreign terrorist organization.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the painfully public political scandals that had embarrassing repercussions for the governments in question.
And he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Accidentally firing and rehiring hundreds of public servants. United States.
The Department of Agriculture is one of the many federal agencies hit by President Trump's mass layoffs. According to a number of staffers, emails started going out on Thursday without warning, leaving supervisors off guard and potentially hundreds of people without a job.
One can argue that Elon Musk's goal of eliminating trillions of dollars of waste in the federal budget is, at least on paper, in the interest of the American taxpayer. However, it'd seem that taking a chainsaw to the government's inner workings may have been slightly too aggressive an approach. In implementing sweeping layoffs across the federal workforce, the U.S. Department of Agriculture was forced to walk back its firings in an effort to combat bird flu. Said a spokesman for the organization in February, quote, "Although several positions supporting bird flu efforts were notified of their terminations over the weekend, we are working to swiftly rectify the situation and rescind those letters." End quote.
The termination letter was very informal and didn't have a lot of information at all about my benefits moving forward. So I'm still working with, waiting back for an email from my HR representative to see if they can answer any of my questions in that regard.
The resignation of Freeland, Canada.
On the day she was set to deliver the government's fall economic statement, you cannot underline the significance of this enough.
And she did it in writing. Upon reflection, I have concluded that the only honest and viable path is for me to resign from the cabinet.
This is absolutely stunning. Never seen anything like that.
Following years of deep unpopularity and growing public support for the Conservative Party, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Liberal government was rocked by the sudden departure of his longtime Finance Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, Freeland. After the Prime Minister offered her another cabinet position, Freeland instead chose to resign, commenting that, quote, "In making your decision, you made clear that I no longer credibly enjoy your confidence," end quote. Considered by many to be Trudeau's most loyal and trusted advisor, Freeland's sudden exit came as a massive shock to Canadians.
It was time to inflict, maximum chaos and damage, and she succeeded. I have a lot of respect for Freeland.
Trudeau would announce his own resignation in the early weeks of 2025, clearing a path for economist Mark Carney to succeed him as Liberal Party leader and Prime Minister.
I, Mark Carney, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty, King Charles III, King of Canada, his heirs and successors.
Liz Truss becomes the UK's shortest-serving Prime Minister, United Kingdom.
I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party.
This political scandal completely defies logic. Truss, sworn in as PM on September 6, 2022, oversaw the issuing of a mini-budget which contained a set of Conservative Party financial goals, like tax cuts and other economic policies. This mini-budget was almost immediately blasted, plummeting the pound's value and raising alarm bells worldwide, with economists cautioning against the heavy reliance on government borrowing that the document proposed. Well then, several ensuing mini-scandals created a domino effect that led to Truss announcing her resignation on October 25th, having served only 49 days in office.
This morning I met the chairman of the 1922 committee, Sir Graham Brady. We've agreed that there will be a leadership election to be completed within the next week. This will ensure that we remain on a path to deliver our fiscal plans and maintain our country's economic stability and national security.
Jaroslav Hunka's invitation to the House of Commons, Canada.
I must step down as your Speaker. I reiterate my profound regret for my error.
That error inviting this 98-year-old war veteran to the Ukrainian president's address and honoring him.
He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero.
You'd think it would actually be fairly easy not to invite a Nazi to be honored at the nation's capital. And yet, Justin Trudeau's government managed to do exactly that in one of Canada's most embarrassing political scandals in history. Hunka, a Ukrainian Canadian, was revealed to have fought in the Galicia division of the Waffen-SS, or the military branch of the Nazi Party.
The Waffen-SS Galicia division was made up of Ukrainian volunteers, choosing to join Hitler's troops to fight Soviet Russia. Hunka himself, second from the left, trained in Munich.
Hunka's son Martin contacted Speaker of the House Anthony Rota as a means of celebrating his father, particularly because Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky would be visiting. After Hunka's Nazi ties were exposed by Jewish-American newspaper The Forward, Trudeau apologized to President Zelensky, the Jewish community, and Canadians everywhere. But the damage had already been done.
Why should they get a free pass to run away to a great democracy like Canada?
That's just one of the questions so many are grappling with now. Some Jewish groups are calling on Ottawa to open up wartime records to help show just how many of those who fought with the Nazis eventually settled in Canada.
Letting RFK Jr. loose on measles, United States.
Well, a measles outbreak is spreading in West Texas. Dozens of new cases have been reported there over the past 72 hours, and at least 90 known infections alone in one particular area.
President Trump's decision to appoint Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the head of the Department of Health and Human Services caused eyebrows to skyrocket nationwide. After all, Kennedy was well known for his anti-vaccine activism, as well as his promotion of discredited conspiracy theories. As such, Kennedy's response to the 2025 U.S. measles outbreak was heavily scrutinized.
We are following the measles epidemic every day. I think there's 124 people who have contracted measles at this point, mainly in Kings County, Texas. Mainly, we're told, in the Mennonite community. There are 2 people who have died.
While measles is easily preventable with vaccines, Kennedy refused to specifically recommend them. In fairness, he also didn't specifically discourage their use. In a Fox News piece, the health secretary promoted the use of vitamin A supplements and cod liver oil. In an interview for the network, Kennedy declared that otherwise healthy individuals bore no risk when it came to measles. His claims were roundly criticized, especially in the wake of 2 measles-related deaths.
So it's not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year.
Well, no, that's not quite true. Actually, first of all, it's only February, but it is highly unusual. A child is dead from a disease that has not killed anyone in this country for 10 years. That is unusual. It's also not true that the 20 hospitalized kids are there mainly for quarantine.
Yoon Song-yeol attempts to declare martial law, South Korea.
His presidency has been marred by scandals and political dysfunction, with many expressing dissatisfaction over his handling of the economy and controversies involving his wife. Our relations with North Korea have sunk to an all-time low as Mr. Yoon adopted a more confrontational approach to its neighbor.
President Yoon was already unpopular in his country, owing to democratic backsliding and his authoritarian tendencies. However, the president torpedoed whatever was left of his political goodwill through his attempts to implement martial law at the tail end of 2024.
Today, South Korean lawmakers discussed a special prosecutor investigation request on treason allegations over the declaration of martial law by President Yoon Suk-yeol. Yoon's declaration of martial law on Tuesday sought to consolidate power, ban political activity, and censor the media. It sparked outrage on the streets and concern among South Korea's international allies.
In a baffling, rapid-fire series of decisions, Yoon accused the political opposition of being part of a North Korean conspiracy to dismantle the government, a supposed consequence of said opposition blocking his political agenda. Chaos and panic in South Korea led the National Assembly to convene for an emergency session where they voted unanimously to end martial law. Despite attempting to backpedal and apologize, Yoon was impeached and became the country's first sitting president to be arrested and incarcerated.
Investigators forced entry into the president's home to arrest him early on Wednesday morning. It was their second attempt to arrest him after being prevented by President Yoon's security staff. In the last hour, President Yoon himself has released a video message In it, he said, "When I saw them invading the security perimeter, I decided to appear before the CIO, even though it is an illegal investigation, in order to prevent any bloodshed."
The Democrats' handling of the 2024 presidential election. United States.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Joe Biden's 2024 presidential campaign was probably doomed from the start. Burdened with record-low approval ratings and Biden's political baggage, things only got exponentially worse following a June 2024 debate between him and former President Trump. The president's performance was worse than anyone could have predicted, with Biden's sluggish, meandering delivery stoking mass panic among the political left about his ability to carry out his presidential duties.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf with you if you carry your own bag.
After weeks of painful damage control, Biden stood down on July 21st, but not before endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris as his successor. Although her 3-month campaign was admirable, many argued that it was too little too late. Those fears would be proven right following Trump and J.D. Vance's decisive November victory.
The Fox News decision desk can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
The former president's comeback will be complete with a win in Wisconsin, a state that he narrowly lost 4 years ago. He is now the second president in U.S. history to win non-consecutive terms.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Jeffrey Goldberg and the Signal group chat, United States.
We're following breaking news this morning. The publication The Atlantic has published text from that Signal group chat after top Trump administration officials repeatedly said that no classified information was shared. A recap now. The group on the messaging app Signal inadvertently included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg. Also on that chain, top government officials discussing an attack on Houthi rebels in Yemen.
Oof, where do we even start with this one? The March 2025 U.S. air and naval strikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen were devastating, killing at least 53 people from the 15th onward. However, these top-secret government plans, intended only for the eyes and ears of the Trump administration, turned out to not be quite so top-secret after all.
The statements by Hegseth, Gabbard, Ratcliffe, and Trump, combined with the assertions made by numerous administration officials that we are lying about the context of the Signal texts, have led us to believe that people should see the texts in order to reach their own conclusions.
Journalist Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic had mistakenly been added to a Signal group chat which contained the plans, unbeknownst to its organizers. The magazine published the entire transcript of the exchange on March 25th, which revealed Vice President J.D. Vance and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's feelings about the United States' European allies, in addition to the name of an active undercover CIA agent.
This is an embarrassment. This is utterly unprofessional. There's been no apology. There has been no recognition of the gravity of this error. And by the way, we will get the full transcript of this chain, and your testimony will be measured carefully against its content. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Which blunder had you watching through your fingers? Are there any we missed? Be sure to let us know in the comments below.
I think it puts the White House in a difficult position because it's kind of indisputable information that very sensitive material was being shared on this commercial app that is not a government-approved, officially government-sanctioned communications channel.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.